The idea you need a weapon that can have the ability to fire 20, 30, 40, 50, 120 shots from that weapon, whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things.
Alright, welcome back everybody. This is the Death by Tyranny podcast. We made it safe back from Illinois. Just wanted to show off some cool stuff I got. So, there you go. We got, over here we got Big Alaska. He'd be the guy that was in the Capitol with his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Then we got Nicholas J. Fuentes. And then we have Jaden McNeil. And I don't remember what side he signed it on there. Beardley there. Now these are all some of the main guys over at America First. A lot of them have their own thing going on. The main guy over at America First is Nicholas J. Fuentes. He is the one who primarily put on the protest in Illinois. The no mask, no lockdown, no passport, no vaccine protest. Turnout was pretty good. 300-400 people was there. It was pretty exciting. I got to meet a couple cool people. There was a lot of interesting people there. Everybody respectful. And unlike some of the leftist protests you see, at the anti-vax protest I went to, they even stayed within the blocked off area of the sidewalk. And it was incredible. There was no violence to speak of. There was a little bit of insider drama there. I think that had a lot more to do with internet, bickering back and forth, though. Nothing to do with the protest. And of course, it was all squashed in time for the protest to start. And even the people who were not with America First that were speaking at the protest got a chance to speak. And all of the protesters there supporting America First let those speakers say what they needed to say. And they were very supportive of even the speakers they were not there to support. And it was a good time overall. I met Ralph from the Ralph Report, aka the Kill Stream. It was over on Trovo, but Trovo banned all the conservative content creators over there. So he has moved to Odyssey, and I believe he has his own website. You might be able to see his stream out over there. And he has different conservative and internet political people on there kind of debate back and forth. A lot of e-celeb social media stars in the political hemisphere got their start there, or at least increased their popularity by quite a bit by going on the kill stream. And he was kind of on his own there, kind of just walking around, and I had a chance to hang out with him quite a bit. Didn't really carry on too much of a conversation, just passing conversation here and there. If I would have known he was going to be there a couple days beforehand, I might have studied up on something and maybe pitched him something that I could debate somebody on. Although I'm a very small podcaster, I don't even know that he would allow that. But he is a very down-to-earth guy, very chill dude. So maybe he would have. I know he does have people in there from time to time that don't have, a huge following. And that's how some of those people end up with those huge followings. So I would definitely like to go on the Kill stream and maybe debate somebody on something like transgender acceptance in our schools or something along those lines. I think I would do fairly decent. Maybe a little bit with white replacement. I don't know. I'm sure they would probably have somebody on there a lot more informed and intelligent than I am that would probably just destroy me, and I don't know if that would help me a whole lot in growth. And it might. There's people on there that get their ass kicked pretty good that still come back. I know Styx is on there quite a bit, and he is debated Spencer, which in my opinion is probably one of the only borderline, ethno-state supporters that is kind of banished by the conservatives on the right. And he supports Biden, he supports the vaccine mandates, but he also says that he's all about protecting, white Europeans in America, and I think he blends his lines a little too much. But he is very well spoken and a very educated man. I think even if you had a good case to be made, he could probably talk circles around you. And I think that was the last debate was Spencer and Styx. And from what I seen, because Odyssey is kind of glitchy, Styx was doing pretty decent. Spencer was trying to say that the MAGA movement, for the most part, has decreased intelligence in the right-wing movement, which I totally disagree with. You have to understand, there were a lot of Trump supporters that didn't look into politics at all. Now I would say a good portion of those Trump supporters at least keep up with the mainstream news and try to look into some of the things that they feel like is untrue. Whereas people that support Biden, they just kind of go with the narrative. They only know what they hear and what they're supposed to think. And the MAGA movement really got people, as far as conservatives, to look a little bit deeper into some of these issues. And I think that's a good thing for the most part. I'm sorry guys, I got an old beat up work shirt on and I'm looking in the wrong camera. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and kind of, I want to try to be more available to people on here. And with me going out of town this weekend for the protest, it kind of threw a hair in the wrenches as far as doing some live streams. I did stream a little bit of the protest with a new camera. It looked like some of the footage was quite a bit shaky. But I did get a little bit of good footage, so I'll try to get some editing software and maybe put something together. But there's already people that have done a fantastic job. The America First team out there, they have put together Nick's speech along with a little bit of pretty cool editing before and after at band.tv. You have to scroll down and find Nick's channel there, and it just says Vax Mandate, I think, or I will not comply or something like that, and it's a white screen. It's pretty cool. Maybe at some point we will stream it here so you guys can see it in a little bit better quality than I was able to get. And I met a lot of the people that are some of the more popular streamers in the America First movement. And it was really my first time at a big protest like that. It was my first time meeting a lot of these people. And even though they were so down to earth, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was a little bit nerve-wracking, especially trying to get to meet Nick. He just got swarmed when he got off stage, and he had a bodyguard there, and he's wearing a bulletproof vest, and it's kind of intimidating just to kind of walk up to him. I didn't really see how he was standing. I just seen like the people swarm, and I walked up, and I ended up like walking up to his back, and it looked like his bodyguard might have got a little iffy and kind of gave me this look, so I backed off a little bit. So I just got my hat signed and kind of backed off. But I did get to speak with Baked Alaska. I got to speak with Beardson there, and he was a lot nicer than what is portrayed on YouTube. He's a very feisty guy, and maybe he needs to be. But in person, he was very polite, had a lot of encouraging words for struggling or new podcasters, content creators. And they seem like they're a very tight-knit group, but when you're there in person, they also seem very accepting, and like they encourage people to support the movement and to talk about it on their podcast and YouTube channels and whatnot. But like I said, it was still kind of a little bit intimidating. But that wasn't on no fault of theirs. They were very down to earth. So maybe the next protest I might try to be a little bit more prepared, pitch the channel a little bit better. I had a buddy there with me that drove there. So big shout out and big thanks to Paul. He drove his own vehicle. We were going to rent a car, and it was just a little bit out of our budget. So that was extremely nice of him to put the wear and tear, 5-hour trip one way, there and back. So about a 10-hour drive, almost 600 miles. So I definitely appreciate that. And I think he's been around, at least online, around those people a lot more than I have. So he was pretty much the only one there kind of pitching the Death by Tyranny podcast channel, because I was just trying to get to know people out there. I didn't want to seem forceful or like I was coattailing or ankle biting or anything like that. I would like to maybe save some of trying to get support for the channel there from those guys after they have got to know me a little bit better, so they know that they're not, walking into an ambush or somebody that would discredit them. I definitely don't want that. There was a guy there that has done some things like that, and he was kind of shunned to the outside. Like I said, they kind of squashed all that once the protest actually started. But I definitely don't want to be put in that situation or put them in that kind of situation. I don't think it's very good optics on the outside to keep accepting people in your inner circle and for them to stab you in the back. Not necessarily bad optics on anybody from America First side or point of view, because they're only defending themselves. They opened up themselves and they were vulnerable, and they were kind of stabbed in the back in most situations. And I know the start of this video is kind of slow here, and I'm just giving you some of the insider stuff of the protest that went on in Illinois, but I'm also doing it for a reason. And that reason is YouTube has decided that if you do not support the vaccine mandates, or if you are encouraging someone not to get the vaccine, which would imply any kind of studies, whether true, factual, or you have data to back it up, they hold the right to delete that video, and they have done so. So we just have to be a little bit more careful going forward. And when we talk about Big C, little V, that'll be the nickname from here on out when we are talking about COVID. We'll try to do some fill-in stuff at the beginning, or maybe cover some other topics and talk about that later on in the video. I've heard that they only watch like the first couple of minutes of videos when they're processing it, unless a video is flagged by somebody who has watched it. And I'm assuming Facebook and everybody else will follow in their footsteps soon enough. And there's a lot of information that has advanced in the favor of people against vaccines. Well, not vaccines, I shouldn't say. We're not anti-vax. We're just anti this vax. And I would like to talk about some of those things. But honestly, right now I am digging into my sleep schedule to even make this video. So to just put videos up to have them taken down is really not doing anybody any good. It's not doing the channel any good. It's not doing me any good. It's not doing you guys any good unless you catch it live. So I would like to make videos that are able to stay up and get shared around and are able to help me spread the message and prepare conservatives and maybe lead them in a little bit different direction than where conservatives are at the moment. And we can talk about that a little bit. I think that a lot of the conservatives today have decided that the libertarian idea is the best way to go, because instead of defending their stance when they're talking to people on the left, they can just kind of divert that with, I don't care what you do, just let me do what I want to do. And because that has been such a popular mindset of conservatives, we've seen them kind of allow the left to be forceful and force their ways and their ideas onto other people, because instead of protecting themselves and making sure that their way of life is able to continue, they're just saying, do whatever you want to do, Democrats. We don't care. Just leave us alone. Well, we've seen that they are not going to leave us alone. They will never leave us alone. And this libertarian mindset has put the Democrats in such a powerful stance that they can pretty much force our will at any given moment, at any given time. So when the libertarians say that conservatives that are outspoken about white displacement, anti-abortion, and some of the more uncomfortable things in the conservative movement, when they talk about God and religion, and they say that, they don't care about that, just let them do whatever they want to do, understand that that is not, in a perfect world, sure, that's a good mindset to have. Live and let live. But that's not where we are in America anymore. That way of thinking has gave the left such an advantage that if you ever want to get back to live and let live, you are going to have to allow conservatives that have something much powerful than a passive attitude to take the reins and lead us in a different direction. The libertarian movement will not be able to defeat this tyrannical government. I wish it could, but it just can't. The only way that we are going to be able to defeat the tyrannical left and the Democrat ways being forced down our throats is to have God on our side. And even if you don't believe in God, understand that message and the power behind that message is going to be a lot more powerful and have a lot bigger impact than just this passive live and let live. Do what feels good. Well, to the left, what feels good is forcing your children to learn about sexual preference in school. To the left, it feels good to allow men who put on wigs to go into girls' locker rooms. California just passed a law that makes prisons carry condoms in female prisons because they house the transgender males in the same cells as regular women, and they're afraid that they're going to rape and get these women pregnant. Now, most people out in California are to a point, at least the criminals and the evil people and the people guided by the devil, they don't care about being incarcerated. Some of these people don't have homes. So 3 meals a day, a good dental plan, sounds pretty dang good to them. The only thing that they were missing was the ability to have sexual relationships with a woman. Well, now they can avoid that. They can put on a wig and act like a woman and be put in with the woman population, and then they're not missing out on a whole lot. And the structure of not being allowed to go wherever, whenever, is probably doing those people with that mindset a lot of good. So they're living a pretty damn good life out in California as a criminal. And then the criminals that aren't murderers and rapists and molesters, the ones that are just petty thefts and maybe drug addicts that can't seem to find their way back, they're not even being charged. Anything less than $1,000, they can just walk into a store and tell the clerk to fuck off and take whatever they like and walk out. These people aren't being chased, they aren't being prosecuted, and they're not going to jail. Yet California steadily is trying to diminish the rights of gun owners in California, diminish the rights of father figures and family leaders to protect their families against these criminals that really have no reason not to commit these crimes. This is where we are headed. California has long been a beacon for thoughts and ideas. And Democrats and leftists and liberals, they are seeing that if they can get it done in California and New York, it can spread like a disease through the United States. And this libertarian mindset is allowing them to do it. So we must look towards God and be prepared for harsh times and fight back. And if you're not okay with that, maybe you weren't born to be a part of this movement that we need right now to keep this from moving forward, not in our advantage. And this thought process, this libertarian thought process goes a lot deeper than you think. And sometimes I don't even notice it when people who think like this are showing me that this is how they really think until they say something that catches me off guard. For instance, a lot of libertarians don't like it when some conservatives speak out against gay marriage, or just gay couples in general, or people that are transgender, or have gender dysphoria. You know, that makes them uncomfortable because they want them to be able to do what they want, because the libertarians want to be able to do what they want. But we have seen that this just isn't the case. Not only do they want to do what they want as liberals, they want to force that upon our children and in our schools, on our television, and they just say that they want to be included. Well, that's not the case. They have shown that they are willing to be right out in the open and say whatever they think, and they are never held to accountability like conservative media is. So when we make a stand against things like this, and you say that we're being hateful, or you don't like the way we're talking, understand that we're only saying the way you feel. You're just not brave enough to say it out loud. I don't think that most conservatives that are libertarian, I guess that's kind of an oxymoron, but more libertarian conservatives, I guess, because conservatives keep moving more and more to the center. And that's really what libertarian party is. It's the party in the middle. They don't want their kids to go to school as a boy and come home and wonder if they really should have been a girl. They want their children to be able to have children of their own. They want them to grow up and be able to develop as healthy young adults. And if you told them that that wasn't the case, that's not what was being taught in schools, then they would get mad. Once it started affecting their kid, they would get it. Then they would fight back. But before that happens and before that gets to their child, they will tell you you are talking hateful. They don't like it, and you shouldn't speak that way. Well, we're not going to wait for it to get to our children. We are going on the offense. We are willing to fight the fights that you are not willing to fight. We are willing to say the things that you're not willing to say. You don't want your child to be brainwashed in schools. You don't want all of entertainment and Hollywood to push this idea on your children. And most of you aren't even paying attention to the propaganda that is being fed to your children every day. But the time that your child comes up to you and tells you that they no longer feel comfortable in their skin because of the shows that they watch, then you will wish you had done something. But it will be too late. Your child has already been infected with this horrible disease in their thought process. So we're not being hateful. We're being protective of our children. We're not evil people because we believe in God. We're trying to keep all of the children safe, not just our own. And so when libertarians say that they want freedom for all, they're not telling the whole truth. They want freedom for themselves, and they don't want their children to be affected. And when that happens is when they will join the fight. And that is why we are where we are at in this country. And when I was at the protest, Nick spoke on a lot more things than just the vaccine mandate. He spoke about the Second Amendment. And for a long time, when I would listen to some of his shows, and he would talk about the Second Amendment and people that were, all hoorah and whatnot, iron sharpens iron, and he would say, you don't know what you're talking about. Your guns aren't doing you any good. They're just hobbies to you guys. We need the Second Amendment, but if it is not used for what it was put in the Constitution for, you're wasting it. And this lifestyle that you have chosen to support the Second Amendment is slowly diminishing because you are not making the Second Amendment stronger. You are not renewing it when it is time to use the Second Amendment for what it was meant to be used for. And he's right. Instead of being offended like I was, I should have listened. And it took me to go see him in person and say this right in front of me before it really sank in. We wear our shirts that say 1776. We say we will take our country back. We wear hats that say Save America. We vote Republican down ballot without paying attention for Republicans that stab us in the back when it comes to the Second Amendment. And then we let the left force their ways of life into our homes and on our children, and we do nothing. So what is that Second Amendment there for? Worst case scenario when it's too late? Well, it's too late now. It was too late 30 years ago. And Nick said those words and it clicked. He's right. I don't know that the Second Amendment would do us a whole lot of good anymore. That doesn't mean give up your guns by any means. But what it means is when are you going to pick them up? When is going to come for you to climb that hill that you may die on? And to me, that hill was always the loss of my guns. But if they can force vaccine upon us, force us to carry passports to be able to go get food for our children, force us to not be allowed to work because we won't take an experimental vaccine, then when would we ever use our guns? When would we ever stand up and fight? We will only fight for the right to keep the guns just in case? Well, just in case is happening right in front of our eyes. That's not a call to violence. But that is to say that it's here. The left isn't winning. They have damn near won. And unless we do something about it now, this libertarian way of life that you guys have become obsessed with, it will be gone. So maybe before you criticize some of the people that are more far right than you are, or maybe believe in God, or maybe say things that make you feel uncomfortable, understand we are trying to avoid picking up guns. But the libertarians standing by and doing nothing will be the cause that makes us all run to our gun safes when the time is too late. And with that's really all I wanted to say today. I have to work tonight, so I'll keep it short and I'll leave this up. I don't think I had a whole lot of people watching. Hopefully, they will go back and rewatch it. I will leave this on Facebook for 30 days and it will get uploaded to YouTube shortly after. And we kind of steered away from vaccine disapproval and misinformation, so hopefully they'll allow it to stay up. And I'm not trying to say that everything libertarians believe is wrong. Like I said, in a perfect world, we would live and let live. But the passiveness is not defeating the left. They are not living and let live. They want your children. They think they know better for your children. They have said this openly in court and at teachers' conference meetings, the board meetings. They have said, who are you to decide what we teach your children? Let that sink in. The community that you live in should decide what your children should know. And the people who have the main impact on what those children should know are the parents, not the teachers that went to Cal University out in California that couldn't find a job out there, so they moved to little old town Ohio and try to turn your kids into people who don't even know their sexuality and how to naturally reproduce. So I don't know what else to tell the libertarians other than your way of fighting isn't working. So maybe it's time to let the people who put God first and America first to pick up the reins. Instead of allowing us to be censored and to not have a voice, maybe the libertarians just need to be second fiddle to God's voice. And I think that's where we're at, because we're fighting the devil. And I don't feel like any one man or any one group without God will be able to defeat it. But I'm going to go walk my dog and try to get some sleep before I go to this civilian police academy I think we're either meeting with the town treasurer or somebody tonight. Hopefully I'll get to press them a little bit about if vaccine mandates come to little town Ohio. I will tell you that for the most part, even these cops in these small towns that you think you know, they would enforce a vaccine mandate. If Biden said to take all the guns tomorrow, they would enforce that. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying they're not going to lose their paycheck to protect you or your rights. Now, I'm sure there's outliers, but for the most part, if the 8 cops where I live would take my guns and hold me down and tape a mask to my face, then I don't know how many cops in your small town would protect you. And the ones that do are probably libertarian and are just going to let the ones being forceful and tyrannical do whatever makes them feel good. And with that, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay prepared. Maybe pick up a Bible. I'm not one to say that, the end time is coming, but the time to have God behind you so you have the courage and strength to fight back against this party that clearly has embodied the devil has come. I love you guys. Peace, y'all.